You're listening to the Breakaway Wealth podcast, the show that helps you build wealth faster, think outside the box, and break out of the herd. Here's your host, Jim Oliver.
Welcome back, Breakaway Wealth. I'm your host, Jim Oliver, and with me today, my co-host, Nick Kosko. Welcome, Nick. How's it going today?
Thanks a bunch. What'd you say?
I said, how's it going today?
Yeah, it's going awesome. Thanks a bunch for having me. It's kind of interesting. This is the first time I've recorded in this spot, and it has to do with what we're going to talk about today. And that is choose your hard. And so this is this four-letter word that begins with an H has been a topic of conversation on and off for as long as I've known you. It's evolved, and then something particularly sparked this about 2 weeks ago. But I'll let you dive in, Jim.
Yeah, let's start. We'll start it with a Bible verse. This is actually my favorite Bible verse. I think it might be my favorite Bible verse in the Bible. So it's James 1:2-4. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may mature and complete, not lacking anything. It's that last sentence. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. That's what I think about when I think of doing the hard things.
Yeah. So about a year ago, you and I were in Scotland. We were with a good friend of ours. I'm going to go ahead and give him a hat tip, Brad Lowe. We were playing this beautiful golf course on a beautiful day, and we're walking, and somehow it evolved, and he revealed that on his dry erase board in his office, he wrote "do hard things." And I was like, ooh, I love that, because I don't feel like we're called to do easy things. Right. And to your point, there's all kinds of scriptural references about that. Well, 2 weeks ago, I was talking to someone, and I said that we were just catching up, and I was like, I'm doing 75 hard. And those of you that don't know what 75 hard, it's an Andy Frisella created thing. You do a couple workouts a day, drink a gallon of water, read a book, read some pages of a book every day. Follow a food plan, no cheating, no alcohol. I've done it before, and I don't find it particularly hard, like a lot of people were. But this person said, oh, you won't like the social media series I'm about ready to put out. I quit 75 hard after 40 days, and I'm pursuing things that just bring me joy. And I heard in that moment, hey, I'm just going to do easy, fun things. Now, I don't know if that's right or not, but it inspired this whole conversation of thinking about, well, what are we supposed to do? Because I want to follow what, the scripture guides us to do in all aspects of my life. So, Jim, talk to me a little bit about what we're called to do.
That there's another Bible quote. Okay. So Proverbs 12:11, those who work their land will have abundant food, but those who chase fantasies have no sense. So I love that one too, because, God gives us our circumstance, and it's not to say, hey, my circumstance is hard, I'm just going to roll up into the fetal position on the couch and feel sorry for myself. That's not what God calls us to do, right? God calls us to, that we're called for his external glory, right? And God also says that when we've suffered a little while, he'll restore us and make us strong, firm, and steadfast. I don't remember where that's at, Nick, but I know it's there. And so I just remember those words. But so if you think about that, it's repeated over and over and over in personal development books. And one of the things that you and I are actually writing a book right now that combines personal development and biblical concepts and the way Nelson says it, and you modeled, through the lens of the Bible, right? And so when we think of these things, we could take every concept, because we are, and then relating it back to the Bible. But when we just focus on the hard things, one of the books, Grit by Angela Duckworth, you remember that book?
Absolutely.
And so she has a formula in there. I don't know if you remember this formula, but I looked it up, and I didn't actually remember this formula, but I looked it up. It says effort counts twice. Now think about this. This is really a cool thing. Effort counts twice. Talent times effort equals skill. Skill times effort equals achievement. What's the constant? It's effort. So it's and the common denominator of success is what? Albert Gray, in his little pamphlet, his brilliant pamphlet that I've handed out, I don't know how many of them, read it how many times, and I would read it, and the thing that just didn't pop out, I'd go, okay, yeah, that's cool, is successful people do things unsuccessful people either can't because they're too hard, or won't because they're too hard. That's it. Successful people make it. And I say make a habit, because why is it a habit? That's what 75 Hard's all about, right? Is you're creating a new habit. What's the book? The Miracle Morning.
Sure.
He says create your new habits in the morning, right? There's a reason, by the way. Like if I were going to change 75 Hard, and I've never done 75 Hard, I don't know why. The indoor outdoor workout. I mean, I'm not making excuses, right? It's a discipline. Yeah. It's cool. Okay, I've just never done it. But one thing you're doing, one thing I'm doing, I'm changing my gym. I'm changing my trainer, because I don't want to work out at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. I want to work out at 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, why? Because it's hard, right? It is hard to get up at 4:30, have a cup of coffee, got to have that, and then go work out. But if you think about it, just look at this different thing of, it's easier to work out at 7. So I work, I get up in the morning, have a little coffee, do my devotional, do a little reading, maybe a little planning. Then I go work out, and then it's 8 o'clock, and then I got a shower, and then I come back, and it's 9 o'clock before I get going. But if I get up at 4:30, I work out at 5 to 6, home by 6:15, shower, devotional, read, meditation, prayer, all of that. I'm ready to go, and I've turned my body on. So I've turned my body on, my brain's on. While I'm working out, I'm thinking about these things that I'm going to plan out, and I'm being creative. And now I'm ready to go at 8 o'clock, 7:45, 8 o'clock at the latest. An hour a day times 5 days a week, or 7 days a week, 365 days. I mean, that's 365 hours. That's a lot of hours.
You're talking about setting the sail each day, setting your intention every day. And it doesn't happen by accident. I loved how I think you, the one that said it first, it's, to be fat is hard, to be skinny is hard, choose your hard. And
absolutely.
To be rich is hard, to be poor is hard, choose your hard. Now, and this is why this didn't resonate with me when someone said, oh, I think that's tapping into this Cro-Magnon part of your brain and whatnot. I'm like, well, that's ignoring why someone would do it.
Right.
And that's more important to me. I don't really care about the steps, the individual steps. Okay. Taking a selfie progress picture. I don't ever take selfies. So it's taking 75 of these things actually might be the most annoying thing possible for me in the process. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know that this sets up success in everything else in my day. I did it before. I know when I personally have structure, when I can, what do we talk about all the time? Noise. Okay.
Yeah.
We can remove the noise. So for me, food noise, alcohol noise, social media scrolling noise. I eliminated social media as well for 75 days. And I had to run that one by you. Well, I felt like I should run that one by you because we do social media stuff. So just hey, FYI, I got to do this so that I don't go off the rails
Yeah.
and waste time. Right. But this morning, perfect example. You and I were up late last night doing an event.
Yeah.
I slept in a little bit, which compressed my morning.
I
I
noticed that on your
really,
Bible, on the devotional, you weren't, because
yeah,
I was up a little later at like 5:30, and
yep,
I noticed that you hadn't done it. So go ahead.
yep, yeah. So um, I I didn't want to go for my walk, and I walk. I've got a one. I figured out a 1.52 mile loop around my 35 acres here,
Yeah.
and I can do that a couple times. Takes me about 45 minutes. And for me, though, what did I wind up telling you? I had all of these great stimulating business thoughts. I wound up recording them while I was walking, and it feels so good, right? So now I've set the intention for today. I'm not, that wasn't hard per se, but it did require me to make a choice. I could have mailed it in today,
Yeah.
but then I know I'm going to be ticked off, right? If I have to do two workouts this morning or completely cancel the whole thing, that's just going to irritate me to no end because I chose to do this and I'm not one to not finish what I start.
Yeah. So, you know, let's talk about something, Nick, because, okay, do hard things. Adversity introduces a person to themselves. Calvin Coolidge has a great quote about perseverance, that it's not your
Yep.
intelligence, it's not your talent, it's not any of those things that's going to make you successful. It's perseverance, right? Which is, again,
Yep.
perseverance, adversity. These are all things, grit, another, these are all things that um, we relate to or associate with doing hard things. But why don't we do hard things? Like, why
Because we
don't
don't know
we?
what we want.
Well, that's, again, let's go back to Atomic Habits, right? And, Atomic Habits, everybody takes out of it how, like, little habits, doing them consistently. I mean, it's the same, it's what 75 Hard makes you do. It's you're creating habits for 75 days. But what he says is, making hard things easier by aligning them with your identity.
Mm.
Okay, so just like you said, what is it that I want? Look, I want to eat pizza. I don't want to eat pizza every day. I don't want to eat Taco Bell, even though I do love a bean burrito and a crunchy taco with lots of hot sauce on it. But I mean, I like those things. All right, the taste but I don't want them, because then when I look in the mirror and I go, well, wait a minute, Jim, you're saying you're going to have abs by the time your birthday comes around. Actually, I committed to my trainer that it'd be by the end of the year. So, like, I got 4 months and I could see a little ab. Okay. But I'm going to have abs where somebody would say, Jim's got abs. Okay. Not just Jim in the mirror fooling himself. Okay. So
Drawn on.
I'm identifying that. I saw Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman's getting ready for, what's that thing he plays? He plays like a
Like
superhero
the
kind
Marvel
of thing.
characters or
A
something.
Marvel character. But the dude, he's 55. Okay. So I should be in better shape than him, because I'm at least better than somebody 10 years younger than me. And so, and he's got 8 guys helping him, right? I don't need 8 people holding my hand. I mean, I would be still somewhere behind the Moose Lodge if I needed 8 people holding my hand to do anything. I don't believe that I don't need 8 people to motivate me. That's because my identity is to be better than 59, to be younger. That's why I say I'm halfway. If I felt 59, I'd go, well, I'm in the last quarter of my life and I'm going to, yeah, I'm not like it's our identity. So like, I love that James Clear says that. And there's one, this is, I'm trying to bring it all together, and I'm trying to figure out how Nick, so I need your help with that part of it, the identity. And then there's a book that it's like most people it would go right through your head, and you wouldn't think, hey, Jim Oliver's a Brene Brown fan. But Brene Brown talks about what? The importance of vulnerability.
Okay.
What? She talks about vulnerability is not a weakness, but it's a necessary ingredient to achieving greatness. And she says, embracing vulnerability in the face of adversity, doing the hard things, even when you fear failure. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. You bring up the failure piece because, you and I are digging into this whole Enneagram thing, and I'm a 3 and you're darn near a 3. And our biggest fear is failure.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And we will find our identity. I would challenge maybe, and I need to think about this, James Clear's comment about our identity, because I do believe we only find our identity in Christ, right? So it's
Yeah.
that maybe is secondary to the real pursuit of our vision, right?
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about vision. What do I want, right?
Yeah.
And why do I want it? Like, I know what I want. I know why I want it. And I understand that I got to do hard things to do all that. It's not just going to happen. It's not going to happen if I just go walk the golf course and play 36 holes every day. Right.
So
That's a different hard, right?
that,
That's choose your hard.
yeah. And by the way, I get the identity thing and having your identity in Christ. And by the way, that's hard,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Sure.
in our society, in our world, that's hard. But again, let's think about this 75 hard thing that you're doing, right? Is the reason you do it is you do it to create these habits of doing the hard things, which is discipline, but also doing small but like difficult tasks. Okay. I mean, reading 10 pages or whatever it is every day, taking a picture.
Yep.
Those are small, even if they're difficult, but they build what? They build the habit, but it also creates, like in sports, when you have it going on, you have momentum. Momentum's only everything. When we're stuck, we're like, I got no momentum.
Yeah, we see these little incremental pieces of progress. Like, one of my inspirations for doing this was my shoulders just hurting me, like little tears and rotator cuffs. Guy telling me you have arthritis in one of your shoulders, and I kind of was like, excuse the expression, but screw you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be held back on that. So I know, like, the inflammatory things I was putting in my body. I'm like, okay, I want to feel better, right? So I can function better and I can perform better. And sure enough, I'm on day 19. It's obvious inflammation is down. I'm stronger. I moved more weight around yesterday than I have in years. Even when we had a personal trainer going, definitely I was like, okay, at almost 48 years old, you can still do some of this stuff and I can get better at it. So you you know what's interesting is people have asked me, hey, what's harder, day 1 or day 76? Because
Mm-hmm.
I've done this before. And I said, well, I don't know. Last night was really hard. My wife opened a beer and I really wanted to have that beer. I was like,
Yeah.
there was a good 5 minutes where I contemplated having one of those. That was hard. But you know, I've done this before. I did it at the end of 2021 and I fell off the rails. So, lesson learned. I got to do something different on day 76 to build the momentum so that we can have a different result next time. And that's hard too, right? But the
Yeah.
results bring you joy. So back to this person's comment about, oh, I just want to do things that bring me joy. No, these types of results, this progress, because we talk about progress, right?
Yeah.
Happiness tied up in progress. Well, that brings me immense joy. It brings me
Right.
immense joy to clear the deck of noise so that when we face something totally screwed up, we say, good,
Right.
I have the tools to handle this. And you know what? I don't even have to worry about handling it. Somebody bigger is going to handle it. I
Right.
just have to be still, have the noise cleared so that I can follow faithfully through this. And I was sharing some of this with a pastor friend of mine about the storm, the storm of adversity. And he goes, hey, you're reminding me of the story in Mark where you got Jesus passed out on a boat, taking a nap. It's like a hurricane, and all the disciples are kicking and yelling and screaming. And he finally wakes up and he's like, "Oh, you knuckleheads, you have little faith." And he just calms the storm. And I don't know if that's what it says or not, but he goes back to sleep. And it's like, hey, the great thing about the weather is it never stops moving. Those
Yeah.
storms will come and go. It'll just be the next thing, right? The next thing that we go seek the resistance so that we can get stronger.
Yeah. So think about that for a second. Again, we like to go back to books, right? So, you know, when I first was introduced to the book, The Four Agreements, and it says like one of the four agreements is don't take anything personally. And I
Yep.
thought, okay, don't take anything personally. But in this sense, Nick, not taking things personally means hardship is a part of life. Doing the hard things is part of life. And personal growth comes from embracing it. And we would go back to like Jocko Willink in Extreme Ownership and say, you know, like that's the one thing, like when sometimes people say to me, like, how did you come from, you know, being so poor and being homeless to being successful and I guess wealthy by somebody's standards? But it's, you know what? I never felt sorry for myself. I never wallowed in it. I didn't ever say, why me? Why would God do this to me? You know, I mean, every time that I got kicked in the teeth, it was like, and maybe I did when I was a kid, I might have said that.
Yeah.
But then as soon as I said, you know what, keep it, bring it. I can overcome anything. You know, again, I was being defiant at that time. All I realized is that God wanted me to turn to him, which I did thanks to some dude named Wally. But not thanks to him, but thanks to God, you know, using Wally.
He was a conduit.
Yeah. And so the thing is, though, but think about that. Don't take it personally. Yeah, it's hard. You know, I got up this morning and I knew it was legs day again. I'm like, again, already legs day again? And my abductor, or which one goes in? Adductor? Yeah, adductor goes this way, right? Inside my legs, already sore. And I'm thinking,
yep.
And I'm going to Jen, right? And I'm like, I know she's going to have me do 15 different leg exercises for an hour and glute exercises and core. And I'm like, I'm tired today. We were up late, like you said. I watched that stupid football game last night. And I was like, you know what? Just start. So I want to talk about that. Just start. You know, it's like you said, I didn't want to go for a walk this morning. But if you just start, again, 5 o'clock in the morning, is that the best time to work out? No, my best time to work out when I'm feeling really good is about 10 a.m. That'd be great. But you know what? Then what? You know, I mean, that's not how you achieve. The right thing to do is to work out first thing in the morning. The right time to do your devotional is first thing in the morning. That's the example that we have from the Bible. Jesus prayed when it was dark. He went out first thing, right? So
first fruits.
Find a quiet spot. Do this first thing. And so when you just start, it's like I remember the story about a guy that goes to a pastor and he says, I'm really struggling with reading my Bible. I can't do it. I can't get in the habit of doing it. And he said, well, would you read one word in the Bible every day? I mean, could you do that commit to that for the next 90 days? So you break it down into something stupid, something silly, small. You know, like we're looking at this verse, be calm and know that I am God, right? Would you just read one word, be. Okay, I'm done. Right? But guess
Check.
what? You open that Bible and you go, be calm, know that I am God. All right, that's all I'm going to read today. Next day, be calm and know that I am God, and now you're reading a little bit more and then a little bit more. What do you think happened after 90 days? This guy was reading like 10, 15 minutes in his Bible every day. Okay, it doesn't sound like a lot, right? And all of a sudden, he was a prolific reader of scripture every day, which was his goal. But he knew what his goal was, but he was struggling with it. So he was vulnerable. So then he brings somebody in to help him with some accountability. So he takes some ownership, has vulnerability. What I'm saying is you take all of these books and you bring it all together, right? What's another small little stupid thing? And people go, right, it goes in one ear and right out the other, by McCraven. Make Your Bed. Little things that change your life, right? Yeah. So he says the small things develop mental toughness. So if you don't have that mental toughness, you go, oh man, I'm just a loser. Let me go on the couch. No, just do the small things, little things. Hey, I'm going to drink a bottle of water every morning when I wake up. Like whatever it is, little things.
So often, what do we talk about? Man, that works so well, I stopped doing it.
Yeah.
We self-sabotage.
Yeah.
And it's that drift. We've talked about the magenta line before. That's your plan line, right? And having some barriers, having some guardrails in place, self-discipline, guardrails, so that we can go get what we said we want. And that's why I come back to, what do you want? What's your vision? And why do you want it? And those things are really strong to me. It's why I walked in my closet and got shoes and socks this morning. That was how I started. Well, I guess I got off the couch. I got out of my chair on the porch, when I didn't want to walk. And I was like, shoot, I can make an excuse. I got a call with a client in 46 minutes. Kosko, you better get that timer started here within the next 60 seconds so that you're taking your last step when you make that call. And find something that you want and just start. Write it down. Find an accountability partner. I'm doing this with somebody else. They don't even want anybody else to know they're doing it.
Right.
But we communicate almost daily. I told him one day, I was like, I almost mailed it in one day. I just really didn't want, when I physically felt poor. I said, but I was like, well, I don't want to tell you that I stopped.
Okay.
That was the reason that day. So find those things, find an accountability partner, decide what you want, because likely where you are right now is hard. To get to where you want, that's going to be hard too. And that's why we've said, choose your hard.
So
any final words, Jim? Or do you have other stuff you want to add?
Yeah. So you have choice. So when you have choices, you have what?
Freedom.
Right? Remember, money gives you choices. Choices gives you freedom. So when you make hard decisions and you make the right hard decisions, you have a choice. You can choose hard that's bad for you. You can choose, it's hard to drink a bottle of vodka or 6 beers a night or whatever the number is, and wake up the next morning feeling good. That's hard. So you could choose that hard, or you could choose the hard that says, you know what, I got to be up at 4:30. It's 9:00. I better get ready for bed. Right? Better write down the things I'm grateful for. Set my mind right. Do the hard things. Writing down what you're grateful for every night is hard. It's small little things, right? So, the final thing, I guess, is, one of the agreements is always do your best. And that means doing your best even when it's difficult. And your best doesn't mean you're going to win every day, right? Not every word in the Bible is a red letter word. So you're not going to win. It's not going to be a red letter day every day of your life. So celebrate those red letter days. And that celebration creates progress, and progress creates happiness. And when we're happy and we're progressing, then we want to do more of that.
Yeah, you just reminded me. On my grease board now, it says do hard things, but the one thing that's written above it is be the man God intended you to be. Pursue that excellence, pursue the best version of yourself to achieve that, you're going to have to do hard things. But it's just like the Shawshank Redemption story. He wanted to get this one nail so bad he was willing to crawl through that stinky pipe, right?
Yeah.
And that's the hard, right?
Yeah.
To get there. And then it'll be the next thing. And that's okay because it's constant and never ending improvement. Living with purpose for a glory bigger than we can imagine.
Successful people make a habit of doing things unsuccessful people either can or won't do, right? There's a lot of guys in that prison that didn't want to crawl through that pipe. Either they couldn't or they didn't want to. So I guess we wrap it up right there, Nick. The common denominator of success, all of these things, these little habits, this, the 4 agreements, the grit, all these books. Well, why do you think part of 75 Hard is reading every day is because you got to feed your mind. So feed your mind with scripture, with personal development books. And guess what? It's hard to be, which creates gratitude. And you cannot be in a bad state of mind if you're grateful. You can't.
That's right.
And you can't be scarce if you're grateful. You only can be abundant. And so, Nick, thank you for being on. Appreciate your wisdom as always. And we're going to end this like we always do, audience, with probably some of the greatest wisdom you'll ever hear outside of the Bible. And it's the incredible words of Earl Nightingale in The Strangest Secret. Take it away, Earl.
Here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now let me say that again. We become what we think about.
Thanks for listening to the Breakaway Wealth podcast. Be sure to subscribe to this show wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. If you want to start increasing your wealth building ability right now, go to community.createtailwind.com to join our free online community and get access to free, in-depth training designed to help you build real, lasting wealth. See you next week.